Dear Leo, what if I told you that within just 3 days from August 2nd to August 4th you will receive not one, but 6 powerful universal codes that could shift your financial future, heal your heart, energize your body, and reignite your destiny? This isn't just another horoscope forecast. This is a sacred alignment, and you are at the center of it. You've always known you were born to shine, but maybe lately, something has felt dimmed. Maybe the world has pulled you in too many directions, or the fire in your spirit has been asking for a new kind of fuel. These 6 lucky numbers that we're about to explore are not random. They are living frequencies, each one vibrating with a specific cosmic force: abundance, love, healing, purpose, stability, joy. And they are awakening now, because you are ready to receive. If you found your way here today, believe me when I say this, it's not a coincidence. Something greater is moving on your behalf. And whether it feels like a quiet whisper in your soul or a jolt of curiosity in your chest, the truth is the same: you've been guided. The timing is divine. The message is personal. And the invitation is clear. Over the next few minutes, we're going to step into each of these 6 energetic gateways. These are more than numbers. They are spiritual coordinates, opening doors you may not have even realized were waiting. But they don't do the work for you. They call forward the part of you that remembers who you are, the Leo who doesn't just hope for change, but creates it. The Leo who carries royal courage not just in appearance, but in intention. The Leo who is ready to not only receive light, but to embody it. Let me take a moment to say how deeply grateful I am for your presence. Every time you engage with this channel, whether through a like, a comment, or a subscription, you help expand this sacred space. You become part of something bigger, a shared vibration of wisdom and empowerment. Your support allows us to bring these transformative messages to those who need it most, and for that, thank you from the depth of my heart. And believe me, beloved Leo, you'll want to stay with me until the very last moment of today's journey. Because what the universe is revealing right now isn't just exciting. It's revolutionary. The kind of shift that doesn't just change your bank account, but your very relationship to worth, to love, to purpose. This is your invitation to come home to your center, to listen deeply, and to act from alignment. Now, tell me, what called you here today? Was it a financial longing? A personal crossroads? Or maybe, just maybe, it was the soft knowing that something is about to change and you don't want to miss it. If even one part of this message is already stirring something within you, I invite you to leave a comment below and declare your readiness. Share the number that resonates most with your spirit. Not just to engage but to activate. Because when you name it, you claim it. And when you align with it, you amplify it. Let's step forward together, Leo. What's coming next was written in your stars all along. Leo, this is where the journey truly begins with the number 11. Not merely a number, but a spiritual ignition, a living flame that stirs the deepest part of you that has been quietly waiting for direction. 11 isn't about perfection. It's about alignment with the part of you that remembers why you came here in the first place. The part of you that hasn't been distracted by roles, by expectations, or by the noise of the world, but has always remained faithful to something wordless inside. Something sacred. The cosmic gate of Sirius is open now, and with it comes a rare vibration that activates not your ambitions, but your remembrance. Sirius does not reward hustle. It responds to presence. And presence, Leo, is your superpower when it is directed inward, not toward performance, but toward purpose. If you've been questioning your path, if you've been wondering whether the dreams that once set your heart on fire still belong to you, this moment asks you not to seek answers outside yourself, but to listen deeply to the pull that has never left. 11 is what we call a master number. It's not mastered through force or calculation. It's awakened through surrender. You may notice that in these few days, synchronicities appear more often. You might see repeating numbers, hear echoes of a phrase you've been carrying, or find yourself in quiet moments of clarity that feel too precise to ignore. These are not coincidences. They are cosmic confirmations, whispers from the universe that your energy field is tuning into a higher channel. In astrology, this energy is amplified when Sirius aligns with the Leo sun, magnifying divine leadership not through control, but through inner radiance. And this alignment isn't for everyone. It requires courage, the courage to admit that you are being called to live a more authentic truth, even if it means letting go of familiar structures. Especially if it means becoming who you were always meant to be. Financially, the number 11 invites you to revisit what you've left behind: an idea, a project, a connection that once held promise but may have been abandoned out of fear or false timing. Now, that opportunity returns, not for you to replicate the past, but to resurrect it with wiser eyes and deeper integrity. Sometimes, what didn't work then becomes the very thing that flourishes now, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Emotionally, you may feel the return of someone from your past not as a disruption, but as a mirror. You are not who you were, and neither are they. The relationship that once brought confusion might now bring clarity, whether it's a clean goodbye, or a new kind of beginning. Your job is not to fix or repeat anything, but simply to be honest about who you are now, and what resonates from that truth. Physically, this number invites purification. Your body may crave lighter foods, more silence, fewer stimulants. You are not just nourishing a body, you are clearing space for clarity. Imagine yourself as a vessel being emptied of what's no longer aligned, so that something more luminous can rise. Meditation, especially in the early morning hours, becomes a sacred practice, not to escape, but to listen. Even just writing down one intention and repeating it 11 times each morning can become an act of activation. Not because the repetition is magic, but because it sharpens your focus, amplifies your field, and signals to the universe that you are ready to participate. In teachings of inner liberation, we are often reminded that nothing can be added to a cup that is already full. The number 11 gently tilts your cup, not to take from you, but to prepare you to receive. The flame of divine purpose is not loud. It doesn't announce itself in fireworks. It hums in your bones. It flickers behind your ribcage. And when you sit still enough to feel it, you'll realize it was never gone. Only waiting. So sit. Breathe. Return. Let this number not just speak to you, but through you. You do not have to chase your calling. You simply need to clear space for it to return. And when it does, let it find you ready, not perfect, but open. Not certain, but steady. This is not a lesson. This is an awakening. Let it begin. Leo, if the number 11 whispered to your soul, then the number 28 knocks gently on the door you've been avoiding, the door that leads to everything you say you want but haven't yet fully believed you could hold. 28 does not ask for logic. It asks for movement. It doesn't care if you're ready in theory. It cares that your heart beats a little faster at the thought of trying something you've never done before. This is not about certainty. It's about courage. There are moments in life where we're no longer being tested for our patience, but for our willingness to leap. This number arrives like a gust of wind behind your back, not to push, but to remind you that something inside you already knows how to fly. And right now, Uranus, the planet of radical shifts and electric awakenings, is aligning with your energy field, stirring the parts of your life that have gone dormant, or worse, the ones you've convinced yourself are dead. But just because something looks lifeless doesn't mean it's over. Sometimes, the universe pauses our plans, not to deny us, but to reroute us into something more aligned, more sustainable, more alive. Financially, this may show up as a long-forgotten idea, a side project, or even a person returning with a renewed offer. What you once saw as a failure may now be repackaged as a breakthrough. This is the alchemy of 28, the energy that transforms yesterday's closed door into today's open invitation. It is your job not to judge how it reappears, but to notice how it feels in your body. If there's even a flicker of excitement, a moment of breathlessness, trust that. The universe often speaks in the quiet flickers, not in the shout. Emotionally, something long buried may rise to the surface. A hidden truth, a delayed confession, or a realization you hadn't wanted to admit, not to cause chaos, but to clear what's been clouding the emotional clarity of your connections. Whether it's a long-needed closure or the rebirth of a dynamic that once felt impossible, 28 invites honesty. Not just with others, but with yourself. Because no matter what you decide, freedom begins the moment you stop negotiating with your own truth. On a physical level, you may notice a need to detox, not in a trendy or superficial way, but in a deeply cellular one. Your body is asking to let go. To release heaviness not only in food, but in emotional and energetic patterns. Sunlight becomes medicine. Water becomes a carrier of renewal. Nourishment becomes a sacred ritual, not a task. If you allow your body to become a clear vessel, your mind and heart will follow. And here's the gentle challenge. If you feel overwhelmed by change, narrow it down. Take just 28 minutes each day over the next 3 days and devote it to one thing that feels impossible. Write that book idea, speak the unsent words, launch the dream you've shelved 100 times. Because something mystical happens when you act in the direction of your longing, even if the action is small. The gap between who you were and who you're becoming begins to collapse. What once felt distant begins to respond. In teachings that point toward inner liberation, there's a reminder that attachment to how life should unfold is often the barrier to receiving how it wants to unfold. 28, in its quiet wisdom, asks, can you surrender the blueprint long enough to let something unexpected bloom? Not because you gave up, but because you gave permission. This isn't about recklessness. It's about surrendering to what still wants to live through you. So today, write down 3 things you once deemed impossible. Circle the one that makes your stomach flutter, not with fear, but with recognition. And take one breath, one step, one moment toward it. The bridge will build itself beneath your feet. Because that's the true meaning of a leap of faith, not jumping blindly, but finally trusting the voice within you that says, go anyway. There's a kind of silence that follows the end of something, not the absence of sound, but the quiet that settles after truth is finally spoken. Number 9 is that silence. Not an emptiness, but a clearing. It arrives like the final note of a long song, not abrupt, not uninvited, just inevitable. And yet, endings rarely feel graceful in real time. They often masquerade as failure, rejection, or even collapse. But what if what you're calling loss is actually a sacred exit? What if you're not being punished, but protected? Right now, Mars is moving in retrograde, triggering your heart center not to hurt, but to soften what's been hardened. When Mars turns inward like this, it doesn't attack. It reveals. It brings up the unspoken. The tension in your shoulders, the weight in your chest, the ache in your lower back, these are not random discomforts. These are emotional residues, energy that was never released when the story should have ended. And number 9 is that invitation, not to destroy, but to complete. In astrology, 9 is the final stage before rebirth, a sacred threshold between what was and what wants to be. It doesn't rush you forward. It asks you to pause, to look around, to ask gently, what are you still holding that you've already outgrown? This could show up financially as an outdated income model, a career path that once made sense but now feels hollow. You might be keeping it because it's familiar, because you've invested time, because it's safe. But safe doesn't always mean alive. Sometimes, we keep collecting paychecks from systems that are quietly draining our spirit. In your relationships, this energy may reveal where you've been mistaking stability for connection. It's not about fault. It's about honesty. You may realize that something you've called love is really just a contract of comfort. Or perhaps you've been holding on to someone not because they nourish you, but because you're afraid of the quiet that would follow if they left. But silence is not the enemy. Sometimes, it's the only way your heart can be heard. Number 9 doesn't scream for change. It whispers. It appears in dreams, in recurring thoughts, in the strange relief you feel when something you feared might end. Actually does. And still, the mind clings. That's natural. But clarity doesn't come from clinging. It comes from breathing through the urge to grasp, from watching your resistance without becoming it. In practices of inner stillness, there's a reminder, you can't fill a cup that's already full. 9 is the hand that gently pours out the stagnant water so that something fresh can enter. You may be called now to say goodbye to a belief, a job, a version of yourself. And while grief is part of that, so is liberation. To honor this energy, try writing a letter to what you're ready to release. Don't filter. Don't analyze. Just let the words flow, even if they're messy. Then, breathe for 9 minutes. Not to fix anything, just to feel what rises. Let the breath become the broom that sweeps the last corners of holding. This isn't about erasing the past. It's about thanking it for its service and stepping into what's next with more space to receive it. Ask yourself gently, what have I been holding on to because I was afraid to be without it, not because I truly wanted it? This question is not a judgment. It's a mirror. And you are ready to look. Because endings are not the end. They are the place where clarity begins to speak. And it speaks through release. It speaks through breath. It speaks through you. If the previous number asked you to let go, number 44 asks you to build. Not with urgency. Not with perfectionism. But with rhythm. With presence. With the kind of quiet faith that understands true success doesn't erupt, it accumulates. The energy of 44 arrives like a slow breath through the spine, a steady pulse reminding you that mastery is not dramatic. It's deliberate. This is the number of the builder, not just of structures, but of lives, values, boundaries, and futures. Governed by the influence of Saturn, 44 brings a message of sacred responsibility, not the kind that burdens you, but the kind that empowers you to take your life into your own hands, one solid action at a time. Saturn doesn't punish. It refines. And in this cycle, you are being invited to refine the way you approach your life to create containers strong enough to hold what you say you want. Stability isn't a destination. It's a daily practice. And 44, in its quiet wisdom, teaches that consistency is more powerful than intensity. You don't need to create a breakthrough every day. But you do need to keep showing up, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching, even when the results haven't arrived yet. That's the difference between momentum and fluctuation, between a castle made of stone and a tower of cards. Financially, this number asks you to look closely at your systems. Not just how money flows in, but how it flows out, and whether those flows are building something sustainable or leaking energy. This is the time to start organizing what you've been avoiding, budgeting, streamlining, stabilizing. It may not be flashy, but it's foundational. And what you build now, even in small increments, will support you in ways that sudden fortune never could. In relationships, 44 is not about passion that burns bright and disappears. It's about the kind of connection that is rooted, grounded, reliable. You may find yourself either craving more stability in love or attracting someone who embodies it. Pay attention to how your nervous system responds. Do you feel calmer in their presence? Do you breathe more fully? These are not minor signs. They are evidence of energetic compatibility. In your body, this number often shows up when the nervous system is asking for rest, not the collapse that follows burnout, but intentional restoration. Enough sleep. Consistent meals. Gentle movement. Repetition that regulates. The kind of care that isn't reactive, but preventative. Your body is your foundation. Treat it like the sacred structure it is. And as a self-practice, you might try choosing one small, nourishing habit and repeating it every day for the next 44 days. Nothing extreme. Just one aligned action. A morning stretch. A single glass of water with full attention. A journal entry before bed. This isn't about discipline as punishment. It's about honoring the invisible architecture of transformation. As one teaching reminds us, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And when the smallest action is infused with presence, the entire rhythm of your life begins to shift. Imagine building a temple not for others, but for your own energy to rest and thrive inside. You don't have to build it all at once. You don't even need to know what it will look like in the end. You only need to place one brick today. Then another tomorrow. That is the quiet power of 44, the slow, sacred magic of showing up for your future, one breath, one step, one choice at a time. After the slow, deliberate grounding of number 44, the emergence of numbers 3 and 19 feels like sunlight breaking through a forest canopy. There's a subtle shift in the energy now, a call not to build, but to express. To remember that joy isn't something you chase after results, it's something you choose in order to fuel the journey. Number 3 invites you back into the body, back into the color and texture of life, reminding you that creativity is not a luxury. It's a language your soul has always spoken. This number appears when the universe wants to loosen what's become too rigid. Maybe you've been carrying goals like weights instead of dreams. Maybe productivity has taken the place of pleasure. But Leo, you were never meant to dim your fire in order to be efficient. You're ruled by the sun for a reason. Your very presence is meant to light up the space around you. The energy of 3 asks, when was the last time you did something simply because it felt good? When was the last time you let your laughter lead the way? Financially, this number often brings prosperity through play, through side projects, ideas that spark joy, or talents you've dismissed because they didn't seem serious. But joy is magnetic. When you align with what makes your energy feel expansive, opportunities naturally gravitate toward you. This isn't a mindset trick. It's a shift in frequency. And like sunlight, joy doesn't need to justify its brilliance. It just shines. In your relationships, number 3 encourages open, heartfelt communication, not to solve everything, but to soften what's grown tense. Words spoken with care have the power to mend what silence fractured. Even when it feels vulnerable, your voice carries healing when it's honest. Think of your truth not as a weapon, but as an offering. A bridge back to connection. In your body, movement becomes medicine. This doesn't mean intense workouts or pushing through fatigue. It means letting your body stretch, sway, dance, breathe. Let the rhythm of your breath become a quiet prayer for presence. Let your gestures become gentle affirmations that you are here, not just surviving, but alive. The body, after all, is an instrument of joy when we let it be. And then comes 19, not as contrast, but as evolution. If 3 is the spark, 19 is the sovereign flame. It brings you into the fullness of your radiance, into the version of yourself that no longer asks for permission to shine. This is the energy of return to your truth, your power, your purpose. It often arrives after you've done the clearing, the building, the softening. It says, now, lead. Now, take up space, not from ego, but from embodiment. Financially, this number speaks of breakthroughs, recognition, upgrades, contracts, visibility. But what's different now is that these gains are rooted in wholeness. You're not chasing validation, you're stepping into alignment. Career transitions become more than professional shifts, they become soul-level elevation. You're not just making more. You're becoming more. Emotionally, this is the frequency of mature love. Love that isn't fueled by fantasy or fear, but by mutual clarity and compassion. You meet others from your center, not your wounds. And when love arises from this place, it expands without overpowering. It honors both connection and freedom. Physically, this is a time to initiate something new. Your vitality is increasing. Your body is responding to your inner alignment. If you've been wanting to return to movement, nourishment, or rhythm, now is the time. The sun, at its highest vibration, is not just warmth. It is clarity. It is strength. It is life. To embody this energy, write down 3 things that bring you genuine joy. Then declare, not just with your voice but with your action, I choose light. Not because life is perfect, but because you know now that light lives in you, and when you choose it, you lead with it. Leo, you don't need to chase the light. You are the light. That truth isn't something you have to earn, it's something you're being asked to remember. Through every shift, every decision, every small act of showing up, you've been lighting the way not just for yourself, but for those watching quietly around you. This entire journey, from the whisper of number 11 to the radiance of number 19, has not been about becoming someone new. It's been about coming home to the brilliance you've always carried. The 6 numbers 11, 28, 9, 44, 3, and 19 are not just numerals on a page. They are mirrors, keys, and compass points. Each one holds a specific frequency tuned to awaken something dormant within you. One invites you to align with your sacred purpose. Another challenges you to leap toward the unknown. One whispers it's time to end what no longer nourishes you. Another asks you to build stability, to laugh more often, and ultimately to lead with your light. And yet, none of these energies will move without your permission. Their power is only activated through choice yours. You are not here to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. You don't need someone else to open the door for you. You are more than capable of turning the handle yourself. Sometimes, it's not about giant steps. It's about choosing one number, one energy, one truth, and living with it for the next 3 days. Just 3 days of alignment can create a momentum that shifts everything. So ask yourself now, honestly, which number called to you? Which one stirred something inside your chest, made you pause, made you feel seen? That's not coincidence. That's your next step revealing itself. So I invite you, not just as a viewer, but as a fellow traveler on this journey, to take one of these numbers and bring it into your real life. Let it shape a decision. Let it guide how you speak, how you love, how you rest, how you dare. If even one insight today has landed in your heart, don't let it fade. Anchor it. Write it down. Act on it. Because knowing isn't enough. Transformation begins with action. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of the 6 numbers spoke most deeply to you? Leave it in the comments below, not just as a reply, but as a declaration. When you write it, you claim it. When you claim it, you align with it. And when you align with it, the universe moves to meet you there. This is how energy responds. This is how light returns. If this video touched something real in you, if even one sentence made you feel more connected, more clear, more awake, please take a moment to like the video. It's not about the numbers. It's about the signal we send to ourselves. Yes, I'm ready for more of this. Share it with someone whose path could use a little light. And if you haven't already, I welcome you to subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, so we can continue walking this unfolding journey together. Every week, every message, every moment here is devoted to your remembering, your healing, and your expansion. Thank you truly for being here. For choosing stillness in a noisy world. For giving yourself the time and space to listen more deeply. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be, with exactly what you need to begin again, but this time, more clearly, more intentionally, more radiantly. And as you step forward, may you always know that the light you are seeking is already glowing within you. That's where the shift begins. That's where it always begins.